Okay, let's take it from where we left off back in After Effects. I made a new comp called Week 2 Demo, and it has the skeleton smoking in it. Let's take a quick look at the demo clip. Where is it? Here we go. This is the skeleton, this duplicate movie. What we want to do is introduce some masks. So let me show you how the mask tool works before we apply it. Here in After Effects, let's start with, let's do something off to the side and then come back to the skeleton. So I'm going to do composition and say new composition. I'm going to call this demo masks. Okay, and it's going to be 320 by 240. It's going to be small, which is fine, and say OK. So in this demo masks thing, I'm going to take the stripes clip and drag it and drop it in here. So I've just got this video of some stripes moving. This video is only 7 seconds long, but actually it is a loop. So if I move this work area bracket to the end of here and play it, you'll see when it gets to the end and it comes back to the beginning. When it comes back to the beginning, it should be seamless loops. That's a little bit of a jump, but you get the idea. I think because I don't have this set right. Okay, so on this clip, I'm going to apply a mask so you can see how they work. So the thing about masks is they operate on a layer. So they're stuck to whatever layer you have. So if you have multiple layers with multiple masks, it matters which layer they're on. So it's sort of like cutting a hole in this layer of pixels. Okay. So the first way that I show people how to make masks is these tools up here. This rectangle tool has several purposes. When you have a layer selected, it will cut a rectangular mask. You can hold down, click and hold here, and there's other shapes. There's rectangle, rounded rectangle, ellipse, polygon, and star. Let's stick with the rectangle for a sec. Select this tool and come over here. You get a little plus sign, little crosshair. When you click, your pixels appear to disappear because when you click, if you look down below in the timeline, you see that little yellow square that says mask 1. That's what I'm making right now. This is mask 1. I'm still holding my click, and when I drag, what I'm doing is that mask 1 is set to, you can see it's set to add. So what it's telling this mask to do is add the pixels from this layer inside this rectangular mask. Okay, so I can change that from add to subtract, and it'll do the opposite. Okay, so this mask now cuts a hole and makes the pixels inside the mask invisible. Okay, so you can say nothing just shows you the masks. That's the square of the mask and it's not doing anything. That's add. That's subtract. Intersect won't do anything. Well, actually, this will look different if you had another layer behind it. So actually, let's put another layer behind it so we can see what I'm talking about here. So here's my stripes. If I say, let's take the smokestack and put it behind here. Okay. Right now, you can't see the smokestack because it's behind this curtain of pixels. If I turn the visibility off the stripes, you can see the smokestack is behind it, right? If I flip this down and look at my mask, change it to add, what I've got now is you only see these stripes inside the mask. If I change it to subtract, it looks like an inversion, but really what this is it's cut out. It's a hole cut in the green stripes, and you can see the blue of the smoke behind it, right? What is intersect? Does that. Doesn't really show you much. I don't ever use intersect. Lighten, I don't really. Usually for masks, I only use add or subtract. So these might only work under certain instances. I'm not really clear because I never use it, but you know it's there. Inverted is kind of tricky. If you go to add and you say invert, it changes it to subtract. I'm not really sure why you wouldn't just set it for subtract, or if you set it to subtract and then invert, it does that. So it might be useful later on when you're trying to do workarounds or something. Okay, so that's kind of how pulling a mask works with the shape tool. Now, what might happen to you is, I'm going to delete this mask real quick, take mask 1 and just delete it. If you don't have your layer selected, the stripes thing, if you just go and grab this tool Notice there's fill and stroke set here. If you see fill and stroke set up, it's because you don't have a layer selected. And this same tool that you use, that I just used, this rectangle tool or square circle tool, right now it's going to make a new, if this happens to you, if you drag something and you get a bizarre shape, look what happened. See this shape layer here? You can use this tool to make shape layers, and it will make a shape layer unless you have a layer selected. If you have a layer selected and use the same tool, it cuts a mask, right? So that's a little confusing. Thank you, After Effects, but it's just the way it works. So this tool does two things. It either makes shapes or it makes masks, depending on if you have a layer selected. If you want to make a mask, you have to have the layer that you want to make the mask on selected. Okay? So I'm going to pause here for a minute and then we'll come back to the skeleton. Actually, before I go back to the skeleton, let me show you a couple other things you can do with an already existing mask. Here's this mask. A couple funny things. This little colored swatch next to the word mask, if you click on it, you can choose a different color, like to make it more visible. So like, you know, sometimes the color of the thing you're working on won't show the edge of the mask real nicely. So if you change the color of this swatch right here, it changes the color of your mask indicator line. That's not something you ever see on screen. It's just when it's selected, you can tell which mask is which by its color. Okay, so it can be useful. What else do I want to tell you? When you pull a rectangle mask, it's made up of these 4 points and the lines connecting them. If you want to move this mask, you could click on your arrow tool, which is called, not your arrow tool, it's called your selection tool. If you grab, masks are funny about being moved. You can grab a mask by its edge right here on the hairline of the edge and slide the mask around. Okay? That's when the mask is selected like this, you can grab it by the edge and move it around. If you accidentally click anywhere else, like here or here or here, watch what happens to the selection state of this mask. When I click here, see how it changed? Now it has handles. If I try to grab it by the edge now, it's going to deform the mask, which sometimes you want, right? But if you're trying to move a mask and it does this, just stop and go hold down Command Z and undo, and it'll keep doing that. Like if you try to grab it by the edge and move it, it won't cooperate. Just Command Z to undo. The way that you can get it back to the selection state where you can grab it by the edge is to do this. Click somewhere in the gray, like here, to unselect it. Nothing is selected now. And when you click on the word mask, now you can grab it by the edge and slide it around like that. See the difference? So if you lose this selection state and you can't slide your mask around like this, just to be clear what's happening, see how the green stripes aren't moving? So I'm not moving the layer. That green stripe layer, that layer is staying still. And I'm just sliding the mask around on that layer. Okay? If I click over here and I try to grab the mask, now I'm deforming the mask. Or if I grab the point, or if I click over here and grab this point, you know, sometimes you want to do this. Like we'll do something later on where you deform your mask like this. And you can animate this. You can take a mask and animate this movement of the shape of the mask over time. See how the green is still staying still, but I'm just moving these points? So actually, let's play around with this real quick. If I open up this little arrow on mask, notice inside mask there's all these things: mask path, mask feather, mask opacity, mask expansion. Mask path is a little idiosyncratic and funny too, because this is actually also mask position. So like if I turn this on, it makes a keyframe there, right? And I move ahead in time, I can grab this point. Oh look, so it's in the state where I'm moving the whole mask, right? So what'll happen here is, look, the mask path is also, there is no mask position. So if you want to move a mask around, you do it under mask path. So I can do this. See, I'm moving the whole thing around. If I want to morph the shape of it, same thing. Now, I can't morph the shape of it right now because the whole thing is selected. If I wanted to grab these points and morph the shape of it, I'd have to click just off of it for a second. And now I can grab this point and move it like this. So watch what this looks like. The whole thing's going to move around, move around, move around, and then I did that move where this point moved. So now that point's going to move. If I don't have a keyframe here, so I can come back here and say, oh, you know what? I'm going to change it like this. I'm just kind of randomly, obviously, moving these points to show you that these keyframes are allowing me to move the mask and move the points, right? So a mask can be animated under mask path like that. Another thing you can do is mask feather. This is pretty cool. Right now it's at 0 pixels. I'm going to turn it on to say start off at 0 pixel feather. And when I move ahead in time, I'm going to jack this up, take this number and pump it up. And what that does is it feathers the edge. So it'll start off with a sharp edge, and then it'll move towards this, which is feathered. And then I can take it back to no feather. Look what this looks like. It starts off sharp, feathered, no feather. Expansion will go like this. It'll either go outside the edge or inside the edge. So 0 expansion is right on the edge. If you go positive, it goes outside, and if you go negative, it goes inside. And you can also keyframe that. So if I start here and say, you know, let's start expansion at 0, turn it on, and it'll do the feather thing. And maybe what I'll do is set a keyframe here and then do a quick expansion move where I bring it like way down. So it'll do that, and then I'll bring it back up, make it even bigger. So let's just play this and see what it looks like. This is just kind of abstract playing around with animating a mask, okay, just to show you how to do it. So I would do this. I would go in and just try the tools, try to move the corner points, try to keyframe these things just so you get comfortable with where they are, what they do, what they look like, right? The other thing you can do is if you want to add extra points to deform a mask, the way you do that is your pen tool right here, this pen tool. If you click and hold, you'll see a couple options. You got to add vertex, delete vertex, and convert vertex. So add vertex lets you go like this. If you go right on the edge, stick on there, stick on here, it adds points. So now what I've got is extra points that I could take and do this. Those points were not there before, so I couldn't do this. Okay? So now that I've got these extra points, I can do some extra weird things. Now I'm just kind of making up crazy motions, right? But you could get very specific and deliberate and sort of trace things. It might seem kind of abstract at this point, but I just want to show you how the tool works. Okay? So to review, what do we got? We can make a mask. Get rid of this mask real quick. We can make a mask with a shape tool, like that. We can grab it by the edge and move it around. If we want to move the points, we have to click off to change the selection mode. Then we can grab the points and move them. All these point moves can be keyframed under this mask path. So if I turn this on, I can animate these moves. Okay, so I can move the corner points, I can move the whole mask, I can add points with my pen tool. Right on the edge, add pen tool points, take these, move them like this. If I want the lines to be curved, I haven't shown you that. Under pen, there's this convert vertex tool, which you might know from Illustrator or Photoshop if you ever use them. It's the same tool. I call it the flying V. It looks like a little flying V. If you click on any point, what this does is I click and hold, and it lets you pull these things that are called Bezier handles, which are an Adobe thing. These are kind of cool. They let you stretch and change the curves of a line. Now, same thing, you could, I didn't keyframe these, so they're just sitting there. So here, what I could do is say, you know what, I want to curve this. Now notice how both ends on both sides of this point, this is like a seesaw, they're connected until I let go of it and grab one individual one. So this tool takes a little bit of getting used to. Right? You might have to kind of mess around with it to get it to do what you want. But I just did a bunch of curve work, and what's going to happen is it wasn't there at this keyframe, so all that curve work isn't there, and then it kind of appears and moves. Okay, so curving lines you can do with this Bezier curve jazz. What else can we do? If you want to get rid of these curves, if you click on your point again with the convert tool, it snaps those handles away and gets rid of them. So I just kind of wiped out my curves. Okay. If you don't have a layer selected like this, and you use your rectangle tool, you will draw a shape, and you'll get this shape layer. This shape looks weird because I have this stroke is set to 77 pixels. That's why it's all fat. So if I set that to 0, I get like a normal shape, right? You could also, there's a way that you can make the fill not filled. Cancel. If you make a shape layer, you can go, I'm option clicking on this fill to get no fill. But it's not selected, right? So if I select my shape layer, go to fill and click option, click on it until I get no fill. I've got a shape, but it's got no fill, and I can pump up the stroke. So now I've got a shape layer that has, it's like a frame. This is one way you can make things. And the shape layer, if I go under contents and look at rectangle 1, under rectangle path, I could keyframe things like the size, the position, the stroke. I could keyframe these things. I'm looking for position here. I guess that's probably under shape layer 1, transform, position. What this might let me do is, this is going to let the whole shape move. If I want to deform this shape, same thing with the convert tool. I could take my convert tool, hit on this, maybe not, shape layer. Can I convert the point? Doesn't like it. So anyway, you can mess around with trying to animate. Shapes are going to work a little bit differently than masks. Let me get rid of this. Right now, let's focus on masks, okay? So that's some basic mask walking around. I'm going to pause this and come back to what we're going to do to duplicate that skeleton clip.